to be very clear before we get into this that there's going to be so many spoilers for the finale of Succession, for everything with Succession. So if you haven't watched the show, if you haven't watched the finale yet and you plan to, do not continue watching this video. But this is going to be a follow-up to a top 10 list that we did like a month ago. A few episodes out from the finale of Succession. Francesca and I, who's here. Thank you, Francesca, for being here. Great to have you here.
No problem.
So we've been sort of saying what we want to happen at the end of Succession. And so I do want to touch base with those. But first off, the show's done. I think we can all agree that it was a great show. I do wish that there was more, but I understand and respect that they ended it after 4. Yes. What do you overall think about the finale? Or I guess the show as a whole, I should say.
Incredible show. One of the best shows I've ever seen, actually, and watched. And it was, I don't watch a lot of shows. I'm not a big TV person, so it has to be the best, only the best for me, in my eyes. And I was also surprised to learn that it was ending, but I appreciate that it did, because it was one setup. It was about who will be the heir to this massive media empire. We have to know, and so there's only so long you can continue that for. Yeah. I'm glad that despite the side stories, that ultimately it was a show about that one particular drama, and so incredible. And I love the finale, the anti Game of Thrones finale. No Bran the Broken moments. Thank fucking God.
Yeah, I don't know who that would be in this case, but
it would be Greg. Greg would be Bran the Broken, and
who has a better story than Connor?
Yeah, I guess Connor. I mean, you're like, Bran the Broken would be Greg, and you'd be like, I get it, but like Greg's been annoying for like a season and a half. He's been insufferable.
Yeah, although he was very important in this case.
I love it. What about you?
I don't want to compare it to Game of Thrones because I have different opinions on Game of Thrones ending. I am a little bit torn in that I think it's so easy to imagine 2 more great seasons of Succession. Like I think they easily could do 2 more seasons, and that the show probably would decline, or at least would have a good chance of it. And I get that they don't want that. They want this clean thing. And it's not like it was 1 or 2 seasons. They did 4, but it's an interesting thing because on paper, I shouldn't like the show. When I first tried to watch it, I stopped halfway through the pilot, and it took like another year for us to try again. And then I was hooked. It's such a specific limited thing, but it does that limited thing so well. It puts people in rooms and they talk and they're all awful, but then they go to a different cool room and then a boat and then Italy and then England, and they're backstabbing and you kind of hate them all, but your views can change over time. And the acting was just so solid. I think the Emmys next year, like the men's category might be like 3. Yeah. Succession, like, I don't even know. Shiv definitely deserves it too. I think Tom deserves.
Well, Matthew
obviously
McFadden.
Roman and McFadden, yeah.
He is.
He's good.
He's so
very good.
And in this season, the subtlety with which his character evolves is absolutely masterful. Like,
because he evolves. The others really don't that much.
Except for Roman. And I think Kieran Culkin probably will win. Just for the last season alone, and him being, him breaking, and then him, there's not a lot of like stretching in terms of his like character, but he crushes it.
He was very different than the early seasons of just the quips. Like he still had the quips, but like the thing with the scar and the thing like there was some good stuff out of him.
Intense.
So one of the things that the only thing that was on my top 10 list last time that came true was something that did for you too, was that I did want Tom to stay in charge. I also said ATM moves in a reasonable direction, which it might. I mean, Mattson I don't think is a right-wing reactionary. He's just an a-hole. I had actually, the last couple of episodes, I had moved in the direction of kind of wanting Shiv, but then she did some really terrible stuff. And so I was back at the end, I was like, Tom, I know you wanted Tom.
Oh yeah, Tom on top.
Why did you
want
Tom?
I said. Tom
you sent
on
me
top.
TOT. Yeah.
TOT, Tom on top. And I said this on our top 10 list, Tom on top, because Tom has been willing to like eat so much shit. He's sorry, I don't know if we can swear. I always forget. He's been willing to just take it. He offered to go to prison for Logan Roy. He's taken it from every single person. And he's also felt the least entitled, even though, of course, he feels like Shiv owes him some sort of position. But the amount of abuse he's taken from everyone, whether it's Carl and Frank, whether it's the kids, whether it's his own effing wife, whether it's Logan Roy, so much crap. And yet he actually managed to steer the ship of ATN, not horribly. I mean, he was fried in front of Congress too. And I think with Matsson, which is so funny, he is the perfect, like automaton, brown nosing, like servant.
But he's fine with that.
But he's going to be ultimately loyal. But he's actually okay with doing that. And he's kind of like, he doesn't think he's bigger than he is. Whereas, and it's true that Shiv, I think, is incredibly competent, the one to be next in line to succeed. She should have been, in my opinion, the head of Waystar Royco, because I think she's the most competent. I actually think she's too competent.
Yeah, I have evolved in my thinking on that. The thing about Tom that was not a reason that I wanted to be on top, but that makes sense in hindsight now that he'll be on top, is all of that stuff that you just said is true about him being a brown nose and all of that stuff. And he's malleable to some extent, like they all are, based on who he needs to please and all that. But the thing that I had sort of missed throughout the season, I was watching a video essay talking about Tom that was true all throughout the season, is the thing that was different about him and Kendall, Roman, and Shiv is that he was working all season.
Yeah.
They all want to be in charge. None of them seems to have any interest in the company or running it. Shiv might be competent. What does she want to do with ATN? Like she has no real idea. But Tom was literally losing sleep, busting his ass all season. So like she keeps calling it an empty suit, and everybody does. So we think of him as an empty suit. But he was actually working. But they all none of the other ones do that.
Exactly, because they all want to be, and this is what Matsson saw. And we'll talk about, like, I want to talk about the sexism with Shiv. I might talk about it on my show today. But like, Matsson is also like one of the kids. He wants to be the ideas guy. I want to just be the blue sky guy, like Kendall wants to be there when they're the rollout of living, and Roman wants to just fire people and do this and that, but no one wants to be the actual implementer of the ideas. And so Tom does
many ideas anyway.
Right, and
they want to be in charge. They don't want to run the company.
Yes, exactly. They don't want to do the work of running the company, and I think
whereas he would. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that Logan had, I mean, these are all evil and awful people. Let's caveat the whole thing with that. But like Logan had both ideas and implementation and ability to sort of make a decision and go. And I don't think any of them necessarily, I do think Shiv came the closest, but I think you're absolutely spot on. Why? Why do you thought ATN was like a right wing, like mouthpiece, and it is. And you didn't really want this. You were in politics and you're more aligned with the other, Pierce. Why would you even want this? And again, it's all because they've been cowed by their dad and are desperate for his love. It was, oh man.
I mean, look, in hindsight, so I want to talk about Shiv because she proved to be more instrumental than I thought she would. Remember when they were gonna buy Pierce or whatever with all their money?
Yeah.
Like they, in theory, could do that. They ended up getting a better deal from Matsson than they thought. They have more money than they thought they would. They could still do that if that's what it was about. It's just, it's not really about anything. It's like Roman said, they're nothing.
Yeah,
they're
we're
BS.
all bullshit.
We're all BS. We're not anything. We're just a name and desire, but not to do anything specific. And that was their downfall and their inability to get along. If Kendall had just been a little bit less full of himself and hostile to Shiv, he could have gotten through at the end, I think. But what do you think about the thing that ends up killing it?
I think it's brilliant because for me, look, there aren't relationships on this show, right? There aren't intimate partnerships, there aren't real marriages, and I'm in it for like that relationship stuff. I love that melodramatic stuff. And Shiv and Tom's relationship is absolutely fascinating. It's been fascinating since the beginning, because even though Tom is absolutely with Shiv for her being the daughter of Logan Roy, he loves her. He legitimately is in love with her. He's in love with her, wants to marry her, wants like all the things for the two of them. Yes, he is annoying in terms of like, what about me? What about me? But he still loves her. At the end of the day, he loves her. Shiv, not the same. Doesn't love Tom, has sort of, it like drags him along, like thinks, like is so disrespectful of him.
Yeah.
And I think through the 5th season, and when Tom basically was like, nah, man, I could do better than you're a terrible person. You're a terrible person. And then also showed how he could lead and be the head of ATN and do all of these things, and then backstab her at the end of season 3, backstab her and her siblings. I think Tom gained Shiv's respect and, dare I say, love through his evolution as a character. I don't know if you've had an ex, John, but like who after breaking up with them kind of proved themselves to be the person that you always wanted them to be. I've had that in my life, and it's sort of interesting. Would never go back with that person, of course, but I do think that that's sort of what in the interim Tom did, was like gain this spine, stood up to his wife, and Shiv actually did the ultimate act of love, which is give Tom a vote of effing confidence for once in her life, and literally voted for the deal.
I agree. I think that was her evolution, was finally being willing to do something selfless for him.
Yes.
And I think that is drawn from their conversation where he's like, "You do the same if it was you," and she had to break the cycle. But the thing is, I think there's like a dark version. There's 2 interpretations. There's a dark and a light version of what happened. I agree that he sort of did a version of gaining her respect, but I'm not like, the light version is she actually respects him and did this because she respects him. But I think that if that was the case, she would have smiled in the car. I think she did the selfless thing, which shows growth, but I also think she's kind of in the same pattern that she used to be, that she is now following him because of his power. I don't think it's really love and respect. I think it's kind of like how she like followed her father. She's just sort of following power, and he now is the powerful one. Even though she kind of gave him the power, like why doesn't she look happy in the car?
No. You're not gonna get a smile out of them. Because she's not happy, because it was supposed to be her, and Matsson screwed her over and reduced her to like a sexual object.
I did hate that.
Because Matsson is terrible, and Matsson was threatened by Shiv. Matsson was disturbed by the cartoon, of course. Didn't like that Shiv was like a super capable implementer and was like very take charge. He wanted someone weaker. He wanted a Tom, and also Shiv's a woman, and so he also then reduced it to like, yeah, I also kind of like want to sleep with her too, which can be a distraction. Which, by the way, happens to women all the time, especially in the like workspace and corporate world. Of like, or in any world, I'm too attracted to this person. I'm not gonna hire them because what if I sleep with them? Like that level of sexism still exists all the time.
I agree.
And so she's giving him the hand as like, I finally got, like I did something for you, even though ultimately this was supposed to be for me. This was supposed to be my position. I mean, arguably Tom screwed her over multiple times, right? Telling on Logan in the end of season 3, like I said. This by no fault of his own, but effectively allowing Matsson.
He could have defended her at the dinner.
He could have defended her and said, absolutely not.
Ways.
Absolutely.
It was kind of gross, actually, that Matsson that he's still working for the guy who was saying that about his wife. That's kind of gross. But I by the way, I like that he's still gonna defend Greg. I kind of like that as a final little moment for their thing.
Greg hit back. Greg hit back.
He did. Yeah, I like that. He had a little bit of respect. And they had talked earlier in the season about, Tom had told him about, when you have a piece of information, like knowing when to give it and stuff like that. Everybody, by the way, in the finale needs to stop talking so much. All of them were revealing their plans to everyone. But
I know.
But there's a few other things I want to talk about. One, I love the final trio. I mean, I like that they had the happy moment with the meal fit for a king. I liked the fight where they were just kids brawling over a toy, literally fighting each other, and Shiv saying, "I don't like you," and like they looked so childish. But the thing I want to talk about for Kendall is the one change that I might make to make the show slightly more optimistic. Because I'm happy with the way it ended. I also would have been happy if their plan had worked, their initial plan.
Which one? For Kendall
elevating Kendall. I would have been okay with that. I don't even want Kendall in charge, but I liked that the story would then go on. It's not like Shiv and Roman wouldn't still be scheming. Like,
I guess so, but how tiresome is that? And like, first of all, Kendall has been in charge and he's proven that he is such a loose cannon. And they know that. I'm gonna quote Shiv, "I really love you, but I can't effing stomach you." He is insufferable in power. He's so insufferable.
Well, and he was briefly that day before the meeting, putting his feet up on the desk and like he was being insufferable. By the way, Roman talking about his kids made me really uncomfortable. Well, I did not like that. But then the weird stuff with the abuse and him hurting Roman, which Roman needed, like there's just so many lingering problems. But so the one change that I would make, and you tell me what you think. So everybody's really worried about, I think, Kendall and what's gonna happen to him after this show, because he even hinted that his life is over, and everybody knows how close to the edge he was anyway. So he goes and he's staring at the water, and like he's the last thing that you see is that like shot of him or whatever. The change that I would make to make it slightly more optimistic is he kept reiterating, "I was told at 7, I'm gonna take over this thing." How do you do that to a kid? And clearly he just been driven his whole life to take over. What if in that final shot when he's at the water, you just see him, and they kind of gave this to Roman, he just like releases the weight from his shoulders and like you see him relax.
Yes.
Like now he doesn't have to try anymore and he has peace. I think they could have done that. They didn't, obviously. Instead, he just looks like a broken man and God only knows what happens to him. They all have hundreds of millions of dollars, by the way. They're gonna be fine.
That's what I kept on thinking. I was like, you're still billionaires, calm down.
Yeah.
No, he needs his Roman smile moment. I think it would have been calling his kids or something.
Yes, that would have been good. Calling Rava and saying he wants to see the kids.
But instead, we get his dad's bodyguard standing behind him, who sort of we assume is making sure that he doesn't hurt himself or kill himself.
They had that scene where the bodyguard followed the dad right before he died earlier in the season.
Yeah, but yeah, I think he'll be okay. I think also.
You think he'll be okay?
Yeah, I think he'll be fine.
I think above 50% chance that he.
No, I think he'll.
What does he have to live for? He doesn't care about his kids.
He'll do something else. He and Roman will start, restart whatever that Substack. The 100.
They should.
Yeah, they'll be good. No, but I am very concerned for Roman. But it's so, you know what? Or Kendall.
Well, tell me how you interpret Roman's final scene.
What a effing finale for Roman. Yeah. Incredible. Like him seeing Jerry and then losing it.
I wanted them
to talk so bad. Because like Jerry's this like motherly figure.
Yeah.
Who he like respects / is in love with. He needs therapy so bad and he knows it. And I think I do love that like Roman just got like knocked out by a protester and had to go to, I believe, the Bahamas, like had to escape.
Barbados, I think. Yeah.
Barbados, okay. Just had to like be like, bye. That's all.
But he wanted to be hit. He wanted the pain.
I guess so. He might have ruined democracy. So there's that.
He should feel bad about it.
He should probably feel bad. And I love.
Although they gave us some hope with Mencken. They did give us some hope with Wisconsin, hinting that he might not become president. I liked that.
I like that too. Oh, I needed every single word. I need every single word in this finale. And I do think Roman, he will. That moment of him saying it's all BS and we're all BS, I think is great. And he's known it from.
Great.
Yeah, and he's known it from the beginning. He's known it, and he actually respects his dad, and he loves his dad, I think, more than maybe the other two. He's maybe been less screwed, like his head's been less done in. But the last thing his dad said to all three of them was, "You are all, I love you, but you're all unserious people.
You're not serious people.
You're not serious people." And he's right. And they knew it, he knew it, and that's probably because the way Logan raised them. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have that much money and privilege and power and you're told you're gonna get it all handed to you, probably creates unserious people.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway.
Yeah, I did wish that there would be a Jerry thing. That was unfortunate, but and there's a few little tweaks that
isn't Jess working with? Did we see Jess actually working for Tom? No.
Oh.
Did she come back at all, or was it just new Jess and then that's it?
I don't remember. Did we see her? I've got like a phantom memory now of somebody pointing her out, but I'm not sure if it's true. I'm not sure. I like Jess. Yeah. I like that Kendall just breaks down when anything goes wrong. Frank and Carl are out. Hugo's probably screwed
by keeping Jerry and keeping what is it? What's her name?
I don't remember. Stephanie?
No. The I can't remember her name, but the other Hugo, not Hugo, but
I don't know. The other comms, but the woman comms person.
Yeah, the woman comms person who, God,
I'm not sure. I'm still not entirely sure what to make of her conversation with Shiv. And what because that was so close to Shiv's turn that I know it must be instrumental, but I don't know exactly why. Because at the moment I was kind of thrown off by Shiv's turn. I've thought about it since then, but I was a little bit thrown off by it. But anyway, overall, I would say they did a great job. I think now it will always be looked back on as an amazing show. It didn't have a decline. It only accelerated to the end.
Yes.
They're gonna get 1,000 awards. And I'm hoping to see others.
And let's be real, like Matsson, John, you hated Matsson, but Matsson at the end of the day is a less evil character. He is interpersonally a douche, and he's bad. But he's but he's not Elon. Like it doesn't seem like he's like a sort of red-pilled, like
Yeah, that's true. There's no political side to him. It's just kind of cringy tech selfishness and misogyny.
Yes.
And Ebba's still there. Why is Ebba still there? But anyway, yeah, I'm satisfied. I thought it was a good ending. Yeah.
I wish we could have seen it together. I'm already rewatching. Like I had been rewatching, so I think I'm on end of season 2 rewatching.
It's a rewatchable show, definitely. Now with the added context of what happened. Arlene was watching season 1. She watched the pilot to see. There were definitely some things in the pilot that were mirrored in the final episode.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
John, do you think that the child is Tom's?
Yes,
this is my one thing. I don't know. I didn't think they were doing it. I thought that there was a dry, because the season opens with they're not speaking or sleeping together, and yet she's pregnant. So.
But I don't think it had been that. Or actually, I guess it had been a couple of months.
But I guess you're right. You're right. She could have gotten pregnant at the end of when they were like still seeing each other, and then
I like to think that they got pregnant the night that her mom told her she'd be a bad mom.
Yes, I think that I like to think that
that'd
too.
Be perfect. Anyway, I think that's gonna be it for us. Thank you, Francesca. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Sean.
Maybe we'll see if there's another show that we want to discuss. But thank you everybody for supporting us, making this extra content possible. We hope that you enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.